Throughout human history, there have been people who not only lived for themselves, but also lit a fire to illuminate the world. Thomas Alva Edison, the name that when mentioned, we immediately think of the electric light bulb, the first artificial light that changed human life forever. But Edison was not only an inventor, he was also a living legend of determination, of faith in science, of a spirit that never gave up in the face of failure. His life is a film, starting from a poor boy, considered by teachers to be slow, difficult to learn, until he became the king of invention with more than 1,000 patents. Behind that bright light are dark years, stumbles, bitter failures that not everyone knows. Let's join me on that journey, the journey of Thomas Edison, the man who lit up all of humanity. Chapter 1, Childhood in the Dark. Thomas Alva Edison was born on February 11, 1847, in a small house in Milan, Ohio, USA. He was the youngest of 7 children. His father, Samuel Edison, was a carpenter and mason, and his mother, Nancy Edison, was a former teacher. His family was not wealthy, and often struggled to make a living, but young Thomas grew up in the love and strict guidance of his mother. From a young age, Edison was different from other children. He was active, curious, and always asked thousands of questions about everything around him. But because of that difference, when he went to school, Edison was not welcomed. Teachers considered him a slow-developing and difficult-to-teach child, and some even thought he was mentally retarded. After only a few months, the teacher called Edison's mother and advised her to let him quit school. The reason was cruel: this boy is too stupid to learn. But Mother Nancy did not accept that. She saw a spark in her son's eyes, an unusual curiosity. She decided to teach Thomas at home herself. It was the mother's love, faith, and patience that became the most important foundation for Edison's later career. Edison once said, "My mother created me. She was the one who believed in me, and I felt I had a reason to exist." That was the beginning of a legend. A boy considered stupid was lit up by his mother with faith. Chapter 2, The Newsboy and His Passion for Science. When the family moved to Port Huron, Michigan, Edison began a new journey. At the age of 12, to help his family, the boy sold newspapers, candy and snacks on trains running on the Detroit-Port Huron line. It was on those trains that Edison began his life of creativity. He bought more science books, read them himself, and experimented with them. Once, he even built a mini laboratory in a freight car to experiment with chemicals. The result? One time the mixture exploded, the train caught fire, and Edison was kicked off the train. However, the boy was not discouraged. He used the money from selling newspapers to buy equipment and tools. Also on those trains, Edison printed his own small newspaper, the Grand Trunk Herald, which became the first newspaper to be published on a train. But life was not all rosy. An accident left him partially deaf. A ticket inspector grabbed his ear too hard, causing him to lose his ability to hear clearly. That deafness followed Edison throughout his life. Many people think that losing hearing is a tragedy. But for Edison, it was a gift. Because of it, he lived in a world with little noise, could focus completely on research, on crazy ideas without being distracted. Chapter 3, Early Inventions. Edison began to experiment with creative ideas. He became a telegraph operator and learned a lot about electricity. During his days and nights typing Morse signals, he came up with a series of improvements to the telegraph system. In 1869, Edison received his first patent: an automatic telegraph recorder. This invention was not really a commercial success, but it paved the way for a series of subsequent inventions. From there, Edison embarked on a journey that he himself called trial and error. He did not believe in innate genius. He believed that every invention came from work, sweat, and failure. Edison once famously said, "Genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration." For him, failure was not the end. Failure is just a way to find the right path. Chapter 4, Menlo Park, the legendary invention factory. In 1876, Edison established the Menlo Park Laboratory in New Jersey. This was the first research and invention laboratory in the world, where dozens of scientists and engineers worked together. Menlo Park was not just a lab, it was an invention factory. Here, Edison and his colleagues created a series of inventions, from the phonograph, improved telegraphy, to the telephone. One of the most famous inventions of this period was the phonograph, the first device in history that could record and reproduce the human voice. Chapter 5, The Light Bulb, the light that changed the world. For thousands of years, people lived under the light of the sun and fire. At night, darkness fell, and they could only light candles or oil lamps, dim, dangerous, and expensive. Edison was determined to create a safe, cheap, and usable light source for every family. He and his colleagues tested thousands of materials to find the perfect filament for the light bulb. Bamboo, cotton, graphite, platinum, all were tried. Thousands of attempts, and thousands of failures. Some people laughed at him, saying he was crazy. But Edison just smiled. "I haven't failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." Finally, in 1879, Edison's first incandescent light bulb was lit. It wasn't just an invention, it was the moment when humanity stepped out of the darkness. In the following years, Edison built the first electric power system in New York, giving birth to the electric industry. Electric light from there spread throughout the world, changing the way of life, culture, economy, and even human circadian rhythms. Chapter 6, The War of Currents. But Edison did not only have glory. He also experienced fierce wars. The most famous was the War of Currents with Nikola Tesla and George Westinghouse. Edison supported direct current, DC, while Tesla and Westinghouse promoted alternating current, AC. To prove the danger of AC, Edison conducted shocking experiments, using AC to kill animals in public. This war did a lot of damage to Edison's reputation. And in the end, AC won, becoming the standard for the global electrical system. Although he lost that war, Edison was still the one who laid the foundation for the electrical industry. Chapter 7, Edison Empire, Sound, Image and Industry. Not stopping at light, Edison also ventured into sound and image. He invented the kinetoscope film projector, laying the foundation for the film industry. He also improved the tape recorder, creating the vinyl record. In addition, Edison also had a series of other inventions in mining, cement, batteries, with more than 1,000 patents in hand. He was not only an inventor, but also a great businessman, founding General Electric, one of the largest corporations in the world today. Chapter 8, The Last Years of Life and Legacy. Edison lived until 1931. In the last years of his life, his health gradually declined, but his passion for invention never faded. On the day he died, the whole of America was plunged into darkness for a few minutes to commemorate the man who lit up the world. Edison left behind more than 1,000 patents, but more importantly, he left behind a spirit, the spirit of daring to try, daring to fail, daring to dream. And, the man who lighted up the world. The story of Thomas Edison is not only the story of a genius, but also the story of an ordinary man, who used 99% of his sweat to turn 1% of his inspiration into eternal light. Today, every time we turn on the light switch, we not only see physical light, but also the light of faith, of determination, of a man who dared to dream and turn his dream into reality. Thomas Edison, the man who lit up the world, will forever be an immortal symbol in human history. We have finished listening to the story of his life. If you find it interesting, please give me a like and subscribe.